Hi, this is David from Peirce-Phelps. Just want to welcome everyone to our webinar. We'll be starting in about 5 minutes, just waiting for a few more folks to log in. Normal rules apply. We've muted all your phones, but if you have any questions, please just post them in the question tab. So just click on the question box and that'll open up, and then just type in where it says type your question, and we'll answer it as we roll through and as we see them. Hopefully this is going to be of value. It's just an overview of where Peerless is in terms of products, opportunity, rebates, and all those good things, and hopefully you can take full advantage of the product as we roll into the winter season. Hi, this is David. We're going to start the webinar. I'm sure we're going to have a few more people join a little later, but their problem for being late. Roger, who's our local representation on Peerless and has been working on Peerless for many years and is an absolute, certainly expert in not just selling but sort of installing and making the things will run really well. He's going to walk it through. So I'm going to hand over to Roger, and hopefully you guys are going to find this very helpful.
Okay, thank you. As Dave said, my name's Roger Prevost, Quality Equipment Sales, and what I was going to do today was go through the Peerless products, some of the new products that we're coming out with. Peerless is introducing some new products later this winter before the end of the year. We're going to have one new commercial product, and we have a new residential product that's going to be coming out. One of the hot items that's really been in great demand is the high efficiency gas boilers. So I want to go through some of the things on the purifier. And as with everybody's high efficiency boiler, we bring to the customer a lot of advantages with fuel savings. And we want to cover some of the nice rebates that you get from the gas utilities. But I can't stress enough, no matter whose high efficiency boiler you put in, you have to install it correctly. There is no room for error. It's not forgiving. You have to install it exactly the way we would like it installed and to have good operation and problem-free operation. I also want to go through some things. I guess my biggest pet peeve is sizing. I want to make sure that you properly size the boiler. Probably the single biggest problem I run into on high efficiency boilers, they're oversized. Give you an example. I just did a meeting last week for another wholesaler, and I went through sizing of the boilers, and I said one way you can go through on sizing is look at the size of the boiler that's in there. One contractor said, it's exactly what I do, so what am I doing wrong? He's basing all the sizing strictly on the size of the boiler that's in there now. So what I need you to do is to, go through a couple different things, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but I want you to properly size the boiler. Oversized boilers gives it so many starts and stops, and we actually keep track of that on the boiler. So I want to make sure that you properly size the boilers when you put a new boiler in. Save your customer money and save you money on the equipment that you're buying. One of the big opportunities that we have with Peerless for this year is there's a lot of oil to gas conversions. And I think that's happening throughout the country. But in this area here particularly, there's a lot of oil customers. I still heat my house with oil. Gas is not available. So the option that I would have is to go with propane or go with oil. So you kind of have to look at your cost of your fuels. And I'm staying with the oil in my particular application, but had I had natural gas available, that's a total different story. So where you do have natural gas available, you find that there's a lot of customers want to switch, and they're switching over to the natural gas. One of the big moving forces of this are the gas utility rebates. And there's rebates that are going to be running. Some of them run through 2013. And Philadelphia, the city itself, PGW, is quite lucrative in the amount of money that they're offering, both residential and commercial. So rebates is something that you want to really consider. And you are in the Philadelphia market. If you're in the city of Philadelphia, great rebate opportunity there. If you're in a PICO territory, they still have a nice rebate program residentially, but I haven't found a lot of rebates when you get into the areas outside of that. South Jersey has a little bit, but it's not the money that's available here locally. The high efficiency boilers are a product that you should look at, and you can offer high efficiency boilers of both to your commercial customers and residential customers. And the other thing that you can do is you can offer your customers a modular or a multiple boiler setup. As we go through the presentation here today, I can show you that some of the boilers that we had available in the past commercially are no longer available. There's a lot of energy minimum efficiency requirements that the atmospheric gas and some of the power gas burners, boilers do not meet the current efficiency, so some of the boilers are not available anymore. So some of the options that we'll have is to go with multiple smaller boilers to be able to do the same job that the single larger boiler did. And that in itself increases efficiency. Even if we kept the efficiency of the boiler the same, putting a lot of smaller boilers in will actually reduce the cost of operation. I actually look at it when you're putting in a new boiler, there's three basic things that you'll end up doing to reduce a customer's fuel bill. Number one is put the most efficient boiler in that'll do the job. Number two, I want to put the smallest boiler in that will do the job. And number three, I want to incorporate it so that it operates at the lowest possible temperature. With that in mind, residential boilers as of September 1st are required to have some sort of reset built into the boiler. And by reset, basically what it does is the boiler has always gone to 180 degrees. In the past, traditionally, this is the way we operated. We get a call for heat, the boiler would go up to 180 degrees, and it would shut off once it reached 180 degrees. The new controls that are on the boilers, depending on how many zones you have, it will now, when the boiler shuts off, it will allow the temperature to drop down to a much lower temperature and then allow it to kick back on. Basically, we're going to control the off cycle and the on cycle of the boiler to actually, in essence, give a lower temperature out to the system itself. Now, that's not true outdoor reset, but that meets the requirement that's federally mandated for some sort of reset controls on the boilers. Incorporating these new controls, one nice feature is that for no additional charge, the low water cutoff can be included right in it. So that's what's happening with the Peerless line. We have gone with, we're actually going to have either hydro level. Well, right now it's coming through with hydro level, but eventually we will have available the Beckett controls. So we'll have two options for you, and both of those will have the low water cutoff built right into the residential controls. It's not a manual reset, it's automatic reset, but it's going to meet your requirement for the local regulations, so you won't have to add a separate low water cutoff into the boiler itself. Peerless. Peerless is the largest line that I represent. I've sold Peerless since the early 1980s, and they've actually, through the years, become a much easier company to deal with. One nice thing about Peerless is it's located right in Boyertown. We have, there's a foundry right there where the sections are cast. They have their manufacturing facility. Some of them are manufactured in Boyertown. Some of the boilers are actually manufactured in Valley, Pennsylvania, where we warehouse the boilers. This year, Peerless has introduced, or they're in the process of introducing some new products. One of them is going to be a residential near condensing oil, and the other one's going to be a larger high-efficient purifier boiler, which is going to take us up in the range of 1.5 million to 1.7 million BTUs. So I look forward to having those, and we've introduced last year our 850,000 and 1 million BTU purifiers, and in the past 2 weeks I've started up 5 850,000 BTU boilers, have 1 million BTU that's going in next week. So the larger boilers are really taking off, and there's a lot of interest in the larger high-efficiency boilers. One of the nice things is you can actually have a small confined space and be able to walk right through a 32-inch door, a packaged 1 million BTU boiler that's vented with 6-inch PVC pipe. So it does have, and it modulates a 10-to-1 turn down. So if we put 1 million BTU boilers in, we're actually modulating from 100,000 BTUs to 1 million. So a lot of opportunity. It also takes away that situation where you're oversizing because the boiler will modulate and back off, so I don't have to worry about it kicking on and automatically going full input and then shutting off. It's going to modulate where it needs to be able to satisfy the demand. Peerless has recently done some reorganization. They actually are looking to the future, and they're looking to see where they can put their dollars to be able to best allow them to provide the products that you're looking for and that they need for success and growth in the future. So there have been a couple changes they've done and some reorganization, but they've also done some other things. They added a trainer, and so they have some training sessions that they're doing. They have one of them coming up. They're actually doing one today and tomorrow up at Peerless, a 2-day training hands-on seminar. They also have another session that's going to be scheduled for November which you can actually register for online. They also have introduced and added to their list of employees a in-house technical support person that actually can go out in the field and he can assist with larger applications. And so I have somebody else that I can rely on should I ever run into a problem and need help and assistance with sizing or any type of application. So they've added a field person there to be able to help us with that. And for your main support, I'm probably going to be your main contact. We have six of us out on the road, quality equipment sales. But if you run into any larger jobs or if you run into any problems, I have my cell phone that's listed right in the presentation, but it's 215-237-2476. But should you ever have a problem, even if you're in the weekend and you don't have a part, you're more than welcome to call. If I don't answer, leave a message because I will call you back. I don't live that far from the office, so if you need to get something to get your situation, your boiler back up and running, please feel free to give me a call. As long as I'm around, I'll definitely try and take care of your needs. Changes that have happened in 2012, residential boilers, and that's boilers that are under 300,000 BTUs and manufactured after September 1st of this year. They are required to have that boiler temperature reset that I had referred to. Now that's not outdoor reset. It does not have an outdoor sensor incorporated into that. But what it is basically it's going to look at how fast the temperature comes up and satisfy the boiler. And it actually keeps track of how long it takes. And to prevent the boiler from short cycling, it's basically going to increase the length of the off cycles, so allows the temperature to drop down. If the temperature doesn't come up very quickly, then it also adjusts that way so that we don't let it drop out as far on the off cycle. Beckett controls, one of the nice advantages of that when we incorporate the Beckett into the product offering is the Beckett actually has a wireless outdoor sensor, and so you can actually plug another module into it so that if you really truly want outdoor reset, you can have a wireless module that you can mount outside, the outdoor sensor, and then you'll have a module that will plug right into the control, and then you will have true outdoor reset. So that's kind of a nice add-on feature that you'd be able to add on to the Beckett control. Hydro Level has something similar to that, but you have to wire the outdoor sensor into the control, and you'd have to replace the control because the standard one that we give you does not have that capability built in. It's an additional control you'd have to change to. Both of these controls offer the low water cutoff, which is kind of nice because now it eliminates wiring problems, it eliminates mounting problems, and decreases the time for your allotted time for wiring and installing the boilers because you don't have to wire an additional control. It's already wired right into the boiler. With the low water cutoff on both these controls, should there be a problem with the low water cutoff, you will be able to operate the boiler, and we can bypass that low water cutoff feature in the control, so it doesn't necessarily, have your control totally down where your customer doesn't have any heat because of the low water cutoff connection. Standing pilots are no longer available. Now, if a wholesaler has a standing pilot, which I know I still have some in stock with standing pilot, some boilers, I can still sell those as long as it was manufactured before September 1st. Peerless, however, cannot manufacture any new boilers with standing pilots. So if you're looking at having an option for a customer where you have an apartment owner and you want something that's really down and dirty, taking a standing pilot boiler that is still in stock and using that to satisfy that apartment owner's needs will work out perfectly fine. But when the available stock is depleted, that won't be an option for you anymore. Using spark ignition instead of the standing pilot actually increases the efficiency of the boiler several percentage points, and that's one of the reasons that they got rid of or eliminated the standing pilots. You will notice that some of the utilities, Pico for example, they have a high efficiency rebate that if you put a boiler in that's 85% efficient or higher, you can get an additional $400 for your customer. So what Peerless did is they actually took on our atmospheric gas boilers, our MIs. We actually came out with our standard boiler, which is going to be spark ignition, and we're looking at the 82-83% range. We actually reduced the firing rate a little bit, put some baffles into the boiler, and we have a boiler that's 84%. Some utilities say if you have a boiler that's 84% or higher, they'll give you a rebate. We don't happen to have any of those right in our particular area, but they also wanted to come out with something to meet the 85% efficient boiler, the energy rebate programs that are available for the 85%. What we did is we came out with the MI85. The MI85 has to be vented with a stainless steel vent, or at least they're suggesting that it does. So you have to worry about condensation in the flue. So it should be vented with all these are atmospheric gas, vented right into a standard chimney. They're not sidewall vented, but you'd use a stainless steel vent with the 85% efficient boiler. So we have 3 different offerings on MIs, our standard atmospheric gas boiler, 83, 84, and 85% efficient. Depending whether you're going after the rebates, you can select which boiler you want to use on those. Commercial boilers, a lot of changes, not just with Peerless, but across the industry. So you'll find a lot of boilers that were available in the past are no longer available. Our large atmospheric gas boiler was our 211 series. Our 211 series, we actually make the largest atmospheric boiler that's manufactured in the U.S., cast iron boiler. We go up over to over 9 million BTUs, but our 211 series is only available as a steam boiler now. You cannot use it as a water boiler. Now, if you have a water boiler that's out in the field and you had a problem and you needed some replacement sections, something like that, they're available. You can buy the parts, you can still service it, but when you go to replace the boiler, you're going to be looking at some other options as opposed to using a direct replacement for that boiler that would fit right in exactly the same. Our power gas boilers, the LCE, the larger boilers, the 13 to 24 section, based on the requirements for the efficiency, that boiler is not going to be available as a water boiler. So my LC boiler, we offer it from a 4-section to a 12-section, water or steam. And when we get above a 12-section boiler, which takes us up a little bit over 2 million, close to 2.5 million BTU input, we go, when we get above that, then it's only available as a steam boiler. Our smaller, our semi-commercial boilers, our SC, which comes in a 5-section boiler up to a 10-section, that remains the same. That boiler's power gas or oil. The only thing that they did with that particular boiler to be able to increase efficiency was to put some flue rods into the in between the sections to be able to increase the actual efficiency rating of that boiler. So other than that, that boiler's pretty much stayed the same. Peerless has offered a gas modular boiler, our GMs. This is kind of a nice option if you get one of those big atmospheric gas boilers and you want to keep the efficiency similar to what you had, you like the atmospheric gas, we can do the GMs. The GMs come in they're available from a 5 to an 8-section boiler, and with the GMs, they have a vertical draft hood, so it should be able to fit in close to where the 211 series is, but instead of one big boiler, you'll go with multiple boilers. So that's what our gas modular is. Here it's a package boiler that you could roll through a standard single door opening, be able to take it in, and be able to just keep the minimum space that we'd like in between the boilers is going to be about 4 inches. So you can actually have the boiler sit on the pad with about 4-inch space in between them, and we can use an external control to be able to give it true outdoor reset. I happen to be the Tecmar rep, so that's what I would use, and we can stage and rotate the boilers and be able to use that as a replacement for the large 211 series boiler. That's one of the options that you have. But putting in smaller boilers to do the same thing as that one large boiler is going to drastically reduce your cost of operation. We do a lot of this with churches where they have one big atmospheric boiler, and we put in small modular boiler. That falls right into the things that I'm saying. One of the things is you want to put the smallest boiler in. So when I do several smaller boilers, I now, in the mild weather, may only run one boiler instead of running the full capacity of that large atmospheric boiler. And the second thing I'm doing is modulating the outdoor temperature, the water temperature based on outside air temperature. So I've actually done everything to reduce their cost of operation except put the super high efficiency boiler in. And I may have done that strictly for cost of the equipment. The GM is going to be a lot less money. So when you're going in and offering options for somebody replacing one of those large boilers, we could go in with our high efficient condensing boiler, or we could offer a gas modular boiler at considerable lower installed cost. So kind of the choice is yours which way you would like to go on those. And the budget of the particular individual that you're working with. The last option that we have is the other change that we have in commercial. We had a TC boiler. The TC boiler is our largest commercial power gas or oil boiler. The TC boiler has the same physical dimensions as a HB Smith 28 series. Sections probably about 400 pounds apiece. So it's a fairly large sectional boiler, and it comes in individual sections so that we can actually install it, walk it through the doors, and then install it into the mechanical room area. But what we did is they actually have it's a TC2 is what we call it now. So it's an upgraded TC, and one of the nice advantages with the TC2 is you cannot thermally shock this boiler. When you install this as a water boiler, here's an example. City of Philadelphia, if you're doing any work with them, with the City of Philadelphia, they will not install anyone's boiler or allow it to be installed in their school district unless you can guarantee that you cannot thermally shock the boiler. TC2 falls into that. It's at a lower cost than the super high efficiency boilers as their purifiers, but it hits the requirements that the federal government's looking for, as well as for the school district, that you can't thermally shock the boiler. So to replace the larger boilers that we have up top, you can use the GMs, you can use the TC boiler, or I could use an SC with a power gas burner, or you have the option of going to high efficiency with the purifiers. When you get into larger steam boilers, you can end up using the TC2. That's available as steam or water. And then the other thing is, one of the things that I found is if you're switching over to power burners, we just had an application here for Westchester University. They were looking for a boiler. My competition, delivery's 6 weeks. I can actually give them a boiler. We happen to be the rep for Midco Burners. I could actually ship a burner today to meet their, now I can't do that every time, but we can get quicker availability of power burners, and I can match it right up to the Peerless. So it allows me to do a turnaround in a boiler installation in a whole lot less than 6 weeks. So if availability is really important, we can be innovative and come up with some different options for you. So take a look at it if you do run into delivery situations that you need to have something quickly. Give us a try on that. The Peerless Purifier. Peerless introduced the Peerless Purifier, I guess that's about 6 years ago. We introduced the Purifier, and the Purifier is gradually made a lot of changes in the boiler throughout the last 5 years, but what's really nice about it, no major changes. They're all slight control changes that are all backwards compatible. Here's a boiler that's 95% efficient. We've constantly increased the venting options on this. We now can actually vent the boiler vertically and be able to take the room air. We could vent the boiler vertically and be able to take the air from the side wall. We can cascade the boilers. We can actually tie those together and actually do 16 boilers, and it'll actually stage and rotate the boilers without any separate controls. On our residential, you may not be aware, but there's a pre-piping kit that goes up to the Purifier 140. So it actually has a low-loss header. It has your isolation flanges for your circulator. It has a connection for your expansion tank, for your low water cutoff, and for your fill valve. All of that is all pre-piped. There are 3 solder joints that you need to solder to be able to finish the kit off. Comes with dielectric unions. You have to take a look at that. It really does save your cost of installation. If you look at the time it takes to pipe everything together, 2 things it's going to do. One, it's going to make sure that you have everything you need to do the installation, number 1. And number 2, it's going to drastically cut down on your time and the space required to be able to do it. Our Purifier 850s and 1 million BTU. Last year they started producing these, and with that particular boiler, like I said, I just started 5 of those up. Now, when I say I started them up, it's a little bit different. You actually have to adjust 2 burners, a top burner and a bottom burner in each boiler. We've been selling these boilers, and I've been putting startup on there so that I can come out and make sure that they're set up the way they need to be and be able to go through the combustion tests on them. The way I've been doing this with the contractors is you install it, you wire it, get it all piped up, flip the switches on the boiler. I can make it there the next day or so, and I can fine-tune it. They all fire right up, right as you get them. And within running a couple days without being fine-tuned, I'm fine with that. And when I get out there, I can fine-tune it and tweak your control exactly to where it needs to be. Peerless also has, it's kind of nice, a CD training. They're all short vignettes so that you can have one on adjusting the flame. You can have one on the primary, secondary piping. So they've had a lot of short seminars on the purifier. So it's kind of nice to sit, so you don't have to sit and watch it from start to finish. Here's a picture of the purifier header. It's all copper. The unions are on there. The only reason you're doing a couple solder joints is so that you can actually, as we increase the size of the boiler, the spacing between the supply and return tappings changes. So all we're doing is adjusting for that distance. But the guys that have put it in said, I'm just surprised how much time it really saved me. So they really liked using it. It has your connections for going domestic, and it has your connections for doing your space heating loads onto there. Whether you're doing multiple circulators or zone valves, you just adapt to the header that we provide with you. The rebates that are available, PECO has a $400 rebate, and actually I said that wrong before about the $400 for going over 85. It's only $300. It's $400 for converting from oil or electric to gas. So as long as you have a gas meter in the house already, and you want to upgrade your equipment and switch it, your heating equipment, switch it over to gas, PECO will give you $400 if you do that through December 31st. If you put a piece of equipment in that's over 85% efficient, which would hit our MI2, MI85 rather, you can get an additional $300. Now with that in mind, you got to realize you got to do a stainless steel vent. So if you're looking strictly at the efficiency standpoint and not looking at the cost, you may be okay, but you have to consider in for the extra dollars, you got to put the stainless steel venting in. South Jersey, they have $300 available if you get a boiler that's over 85%. That's through June. PGW has $500, same thing as PECO has. As long as you have a gas meter already in the building, you can get $500. And they don't care what the efficiency is. So if you just wanted to put a gas conversion burner in, Somebody has a steam system. You can put a burner in and you can get $500. You're just now going to be heating with gas. If you put a piece of equipment in that's over 94% efficient, you can get an additional $2,000 back. So that's really a nice program to have. I don't know any place else that you can actually get $2,500 combined for putting in a high-efficiency boiler. So PGW is really becoming very active to try and get gas conversions. On the commercial side, this just started in September. From September 1st to August 31st, here's the rebate schedule that goes through, and you can actually get up to $8,400. And that's for a boiler that's from $2.2 million to $2.5 million. And it's a sliding scale, so it starts at $300,000. So if you put a boiler in that's 85% efficient, or if you put a boiler in that's 90% efficient or better, it's the difference for that small boiler of $800 versus $2,900. So depending on what your efficiency is going to be of the boiler that you put in, you can get up to $8,400. If you're putting in a boiler that's larger than $2.5 million, you have to call PGW and find out how much they'll give you for that particular installation. So, and that's running all the way through August of next year. For sizing replacement boilers, my biggest pet peeve is sizing. And actually, I think this makes or breaks a lot of jobs if you're doing retrofit. Some of the things that you have to do is, number one, look at the size of the boiler that's in there and what's the rating on the boiler. If it's gas-fired or if it's oil, what's the actual nozzle firing rate? And what's the pump pressure? Or if it's gas-fired now, clock the gas meter. What's it actually burning? So that you can verify what the size of the boiler. You may have a particular size boiler in there, but it may be underfired. So let's look at what the actual firing rate is. Next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that you double check the connected load. All of these things that I end up doing for sizing a boiler, it's going to verify that you're going to put the right size in, but it's a real soft sell. Because here's what happens. You spend the time with the customer, and as you go through and look at all this connected radiation, and you verify what the connected load is, you can see if there's leaks in the system. You can see or talk to them, do you have problems heating in different areas? And they'll talk to you, and they'll let you know what kind of problems they have. And you can identify which problems putting the new boiler in will correct and which ones you will not be able to correct without doing additional work on top. But the thing is when your customer sees how interested you are, he gets a comfort level. So it kind of takes price out of it a little bit. You know, I want to go with these guys. I know they spend a lot of time here, and I feel comfortable I'm going to get the best job. Consider using multiple boilers. A couple nice things is you get redundancy, and we will increase the efficiency by going with several smaller boilers. And if a customer has a tight budget they're working with, you can offer them the high efficiency boiler, but we can also offer them something that's going to be in a lower efficiency, but it's something that they'll be able to afford. And be very careful when you're bidding the job. Just to give you an example, had a contractor contact me. He wanted to do a 1 million BTU boiler for a church. I tell you that I go out and count the radiation. They wouldn't let me do that. But I looked at the size of the existing boiler, and the difference between the existing boiler and the new boiler was about 100,000 BTUs net rating difference. They had an architect involved, and they assured me this is what they needed was 1 million BTUs. With the increased efficiency and the slight BTU difference, we quoted the 1 million BTU boiler, even though that's not normally the way I do it. The circulators for the system are all on the return. I usually want you to pump away from the expansion tank. This was not a job that they had money in it to repipe and reorganize where the circulators were going to be located. So instead of bidding a spiral vent for air elimination the way the contractor would have done it, I told them don't do that because you're just going to price yourself out of the job. We went with a standard air purger. I showed them how to pipe the boiler in primary, secondary. We didn't give them any bells and whistles except for a new expansion tank, which, by the way, He was going to go with ASME, and it didn't need to be an ASME tank, so we cut some costs there. He ended up with the job. Had he put the Spiro vent in, it would have priced him out of the job. So be very careful when you're bidding. I'm just finding everything's getting so cost competitive, you might be better off to give them some of the bells and whistles as options instead of including that right in the price. I used to always try and give the best system, and years ago that would fly, but today you have to keep it close. And if you have any questions and need any assistance on this, please give me a call. I spend a lot of my time, I go job to job, and if you have issues out there and you're not sure how to pipe the boiler, how to set it up, please give me a call ahead of time. I'd be glad to go through it. It's just once the boiler's installed, it's real difficult because now I have to get you to repipe and to change some things. I've had a few of those in the last week where I've got to get the contractor to repipe the boiler. So make a phone call. Give me a buzz. I'll be glad to come out, help you with sizing, go through the setup on it with you, and just make it so that the job goes smooth. And I want to help you get the jobs. It helps both of us. New products that are coming out this year is for the oil-fired. I do not have natural gas available. This is a near condensing oil boiler, a WB90. It's 90% efficient. Boiler can be direct vented. You can go up through a chimney. It's got to have a stainless steel venting system on it. Really quiet operation. In fact, if this boiler is a two-step burner, when it's fired in low fire with the jacket off, you would not know the burner's running. You'd actually have to look in the peep sight to be able to see that the burner's on. It is that quiet. I've never heard anything oil-fired that's as quiet as what that one is. So it's actually going to go from low fire to high fire. Majority of the year, the boiler will operate on low fire. So it's kind of nice. And it's going to go up to 1.5 gallons an hour. So if you have customers that are staying oil, we do have an option for you there, high efficient. So that's going to be available a little bit later this year. We actually used the same WB casting, and we built the block around that. Our larger condensing boilers coming out later this year will be $1.5 million to $1.7 million. So I'm excited about that. There's not quite as many jobs that I'll run into with those as I do with the million and the 850,000. But I still run into large dormitories, very large churches. So there will be applications for that. So what's really nice is these new large high efficiency boilers. Every one I've seen, you put it in, flip the switch on, and the unit fires right up. So really nice product. Peerless introduced a new partner, our indirect fired water heaters. So we went with the tank and tank design. Our pricing stayed pretty much the same as where we were. We've added additional size, so now we have 50 gallon. We have a 30, 40, 50 gallon, 60, 80, and 120. For real high demands, our 80 and 120 gallon gives you, the recovery is phenomenal. So it gives you much better recovery than most of the indirect fired water heaters out in the marketplace. So it's kind of nice to add the new the partners onto this. So this is something that the only thing that you have to be careful is double check the dimensions and make sure that it fits in to your particular application. It is not available for steam. So if you have steam and want to put a tankless coil onto it without using a separate brazed plate heat exchanger, which I don't think you'd want to do, this is not the indirect use for that. So just strictly used as tied into a water boiler. Peerless is doing training. They actually have one I said that was going on today and tomorrow. Training first day goes over oil, starts, you can actually go right online and register for it. I tried getting all with my iPad, so be careful if you do that. You actually, it doesn't pick it up on your iPad. You have to go on and actually log on to the website on a computer, a desktop computer, and you'll be able to see the registration form right on there. The next school that we have is November 7th and 8th. First day, It goes over the oil product. It includes hotel stay. It includes dinner. It includes your meals, and they charge $100 for this, but you actually get two $50 coupons back on your next boiler purchases. And it's hands-on, so you can actually see the commercial product. You can see the residential product. You can go there and adjust it. You'll see the new WB90. You'll see the commercial and residential purifiers. So we've had real good comments from the guys that have gone up to the school. So it's in Boyertown, not that far away. And if you don't want to stay at the hotel, they do take $50 off of it. So you could drive up, the first day, the second day. And then they would give you, you'll still get your 2 coupons for attending the seminar. Okay? In conclusion, Peerless is constantly looking at coming out with new products and trying to partner with you. So they're setting themselves up for what they want to do in the future, and they're constantly looking at new products that they want to offer to the marketplace. Our new products that will be out a little bit later this year, I'm kind of excited about those. I learned years ago, don't pre-sell until we actually have it in the marketplace. But what's really nice, we're in a market here where we're right near Peerless. So test boilers, we actually usually get those out in our marketplace, so I get to see them ahead of time and see exactly how they do work and see how well they perform. So it's really nice. The other nice thing is being so local, Peerless with engineering, I can actually get a hold of them on weekends if I actually have to. So it's kind of a nice thing having a local manufacturer to work with. High efficiency, that is probably a real hot item, and that's one thing that's really been going out the door, the high efficient boilers. So don't be afraid of the high efficiency boilers, but if you've ever had problems with high efficiency boilers in the past, you want to make sure that if you're getting involved with them, install them the way we'd really like. And I'd really like to offer my services. If you would like to have training at your facility for the high efficiency boilers, I actually bring a purifier down. I could have your guys, if you give me an hour, I can sit there and actually go through. We'll totally tear the boiler apart, go through installation, and kind of take a little bit of the mystery out of the boiler and get them a little bit more comfortable with it. And we're here to help you, and please give me calls to see what I can do. If you run into an unusual application, I'll be glad to come out, take a look at it. I get involved with steam too, so if you run into steam boilers, I want to look at those before you rip anything out. It's a lot easier to make recommendations on that. So if there's anything I can do to help with that, please let me know. And that's my contact information. My cell, 215-237-2476, and be glad to help you any way I can. But training, I found the best thing. Guys want to touch and feel. And I bring a purifier down there, and we sit and spend an hour, whether it's first thing in the morning, the end of the day. Be glad to do it and take the mystery out of it.
Okay, I want to thank everyone for getting on the webinar. I think Roger's one of our most passionate reps and really, loves the product and will transfer that enthusiasm and energy to your guys if you can use him for training and sort of your technical support and sales support. It's going to be the first webinar that we're actually going to post on the website behind the firewall. So if you want to share this with your other partners and tech, etc., then this should be available by the end of the week to download. So hopefully that'll go smoothly. And I just want to thank everyone for their time and hope they have a great fall season. Thanks and goodbye.